that whatever I see is smiling at me. Love is who I am.
Hello there everyone, and welcome to this Elohim message, which will be about full body regeneration. And of course, I want to talk about first of that which we call the yogic life, or the balanced path of the yogis, which is not just in terms of physical poses or asanas. It's about all the facets or factors of life. And recently I've been tuning into, again, the mystics videos, and there was this beautiful saying that you can be the Buddha, in any way, in any case, whatever you put in your body. But then, why would you put something into your body that's not really supporting the evolution of life, of light, as it moves through your body? So it would be almost like you have a car that's running on a bad fuel. Let's say you have a diesel car, but you're using regular gas fuel and things like that. So it's not working at its optimum potential of life. So the full body regeneration, just as it is energetic, the approach is that mastery through the refinement of the energy. And as we know, we're naturally moving through that energy nowadays. We're in the cosmic belt, what we call the photonic belt. We are witnessing strong cosmic emanations known as cosmic rays. We're witnessing solar changes, which the natural responses are, of course, earth changes, and therefore our human bodies that are vessels of earth, because we gather the earth elements. That's how we get all our bodies. And the elemental structure of our bodies responds with those natural earth changes and responds to solar changes. But how fine-tuned are we truly feel life? And that's, I think, one of the reasons why I recently came across this yogic diet video from Sadhguru, which was about increasing our life force energy. And that's my devotion, that's my ultimate path in life, is the life force cultivation and mastery. Although this sharing here is not just about those who really feel consciously devoted to life force energy, but it's basically what the whole planet needs. And as a part of my Elohim presence here, what they share with me through me as this group of beings, whenever I go, and sometimes I witness these things that we can call catastrophes. In this year, I've observed, in the 5 years of living here in the Alps, I've observed such a strong cutting down of trees that I've never witnessed before. And I know a lot of them are saying it's because of that bug, it's infected, but it's not the whole thing. There's also a lot of material prospect, there's a lot of greed. There's a lot of, they're doing these new cable wires now with, new technology. They've cut out all the trees in certain areas. It's just blanks of, they don't even clear up the areas. They just leave the waste there. It's ugly. It's very distorted. It's very terrible to witness once you're attuned to life. And I know people will tell you, why are you so sensitive about this? Because I live in the fully awakened state. I feel with life as if life itself. When you become the essence of life, you will feel with life. So to have an experience, a full regeneration of the body, and recently what they've shared with me is that this whole body regeneration, after quite a year of turmoil and chaos, is what is truly needed for those on this path of conscious life force mastery, because our bodies went through tremendous change, because we're attuned to planetary change. As you know, planet is going through change. And how will we now replenish and revitalize is becoming a strong focal point. So a huge part of what we're putting in our bodies and what we're kind of distracting ourselves with is the main cause of why we're being so desensitized, why we're not in our life force mastery, presence, and awareness, and why so many of us, as the masters say, are experiencing too much lethargy, sleep, which the masters call is the same as death. He says it's like 1/3 of your life you're asleep, so 1/3 of your life you're actually dead. And I really agree with that, because so many of us are programmed to believe, there's this belief you need 8 hours of sleep. And again, that's a distortion, because no one will tell you that, what you need, except your body, and the same goes for food. So this also brings a dullness of life and being desensitized to what's actually happening around us, to feeling life force phenomena, to feel nature phenomena. There was this one story of how all the animals know when it's going to be a storm outside, when it's going to be rainy, but no human knows it. And why are we calling ourselves the highest intelligent, being if we're so not attuned to the natural forces? And now I really resonate with this, which was also shared about this. There's so many machines now, and their hums and noises are strongly resounding through our bodies. And it's not just the changes that are cosmic in nature, it's the physical changes. And I have to present you this, and don't take it with disappointment. But I have to tell you, since 5 years of being here, a lot of things I've been witnessing that have been changing have not all been good changes. A lot of things here in these villages have actually changed for the worse. And I'm noticing so much wild, when people deposit waste, wild in nature, this has grown. And, I walk a lot and I see a lot of that. A lot of littering, people just unconsciously do so many things. And you might say, well, how does that relate to today's topic? It relates in every way. Because when a human is desensitized to life, they can no longer feel what they're doing. So we might say this is an environmental issue. It's an issue of consciousness. It's an issue of really not feeling into life. When you don't feel the ground beneath you is alive, and the plants are alive, and the trees are alive, you don't care what you're doing. And I've witnessed this old janitor man by the hotel. We had these beautiful yellow dandelion flowers blossoming. And he was a maintenance, guy. And just as I was taking pictures of those beautiful flowers, I was so intoxicated with them, with their smell and presence, just beautiful and illuminating. And then I see this old poor guy, he's like mowing the lawn, and these flowers just cutting off dead, one after the other, before they could even blossom and fulfill their purpose for the bees, for the bumblebees, for, insects. All of life is really strongly this month, especially in May, all of life is being pollinated, is being inseminated in a way. And I keep hearing this message, insemination. And what we don't see is because we're getting so mechanical and technological, we kind of like cut this part of ourselves off. And we say, well, it's just weeds, and we give ourselves all these excuses. But what I saw was the way that man did it. He was almost like a robotic presence. He was like not in the body. He was just doing it like it's something he needs to do as a task. Poor old guy. He was like lifeless. He didn't emanate any force of life. And we might say, well, there's zombies in the movies, right? No, there's living zombies on the planet. And what that means is people who have completely cut themselves off of this natural life force moving through us. Our natural birthright, our alignment with the galactic core, with the galactic pulse of life. So a full revitalization of the body is not just, okay, I'm going to take a few medicines, I'm going to drink some algae, I'm going to detoxify, I'm going to purify, I'm going to have a fasting experience. And all these things we do momentarily, and then we go back to the regular. The full point of body revitalization, sorry, again, it's hard for me to pronounce this, revitalization, I just can't pronounce it today, revitalization, too bad. Revitalize, I can say, but revitalization is harder. So the point is not just we feel a sense of well-being for a few moments, we feel good because we did something for ourselves. What the Elohim family of light wants to get across, as you know, they are the foundational principalities of creation principles. They're the holders of all life and form. They're the primary essences that have moved out of creation and experienced life as it was first being created. And therefore, they always share from this grand design, this higher perspective of life, that everything that we do from the Elohim consciousness perspective is about being connected to something else, and how all interactions of life are basically intermingled together. So there's this web of life that if you take out a certain environment, you take out those insects that are required for a certain food, for certain birds, for a certain, there's these teachings, right? You take all the worms out in the whole planet, the planet is gone in a few days. You take the insects, that many days. You take the bees, that many days or months, and it's just how it goes. And recently Sadhguru said, well, you take out a human being, the planet thrives. And it's not just a joke, it's truth. Because we, as perceivably the highest or intelligence, most intelligent life form, really, are we truly intelligent? Well, those few beings who have illumined themselves in their presence, and a few masters, and a few volunteer souls and angelic souls and wanderers wandering here and really inseminating life with new seeds of consciousness. We understand that life is much more than just your comfortable well-being in each moment. So when the Elohim, and that's what they're channeling through me right now, when they talk about well-being, they don't talk about your personal well-being only. All of this will be partially today's subject, because when your well-being is set off and it's triggered for your advancement, it will help you to advance, to have a higher perspective of life. So it is important, but it's not where it ends. So now there's such a strong presence of this reality when people are being vegans and raw vegans, but it's more of a lifestyle than it is an attunement to life. I'm not saying everywhere it's like this, but in a lot of cases it's becoming propagated, and it's a big business right now, people making lots of money from it. And how many of these beings are actually doing these things because there's a higher consciousness behind it? Okay, so are you one of those beings? I hope so. So I first want to talk about what the masters talked about as the yogic diet. And in their tradition of the yogis, they talk about 3 different states of prana, or pranic energy. I don't know how to pronounce it because it's in Indian, it's in Sanskrit. But it's basically the negative pranic foods, the neutral pranic foods, and the positive pranic foods, right? Okay. It's not just the foods we eat, it's also the activities we do. So if we're overly stimulated by an activity, a life force is actually being drained. As well as for too much sleep. All the yogis will tell you it's not good, because you're actually sleeping. It's like you're self-medicating in a way. And recently I loved this joke when he said, well, people say I love sleep. You can't love sleep, because if you really love sleep, you don't remember your sleep. So, right? You love maybe the sense of restlessness and peacefulness when you really rest. But it's just one tiny aspect. So when we're engaged in activities that, you know, they're not soul-fueled activities, basically they are mindless activities which are not mindful, and that's not the activity that's performed through the soul being. It's also that which dissipates our energy and moves us away from our center, our core. So we're at a time when, like I've shared with you, there's a lot of life force deprivation. And when I go through these deforestation areas, I'm so shocked. And at the same time, I'm constantly hearing this, just ground your presence, just be present. Don't get into the victim mode or, you know, fear mode, because I could easily do that. It's that terrible, I tell you guys. Whoa. You know, 5 years of being here, and I can't believe the difference is immense. I had these clearing spaces, natural clearing spaces, that then they made like for desert areas now in these woods. And you know, our village is called Ghost Martulek, which ghost literally means forest. And I was being a bit cynical, and I said, well, it's not forest anymore. It's deforestation. It's at its maximum peak right now. And we're not being told all the information about it. I'm very disappointed because they're not giving us all the reasons and where this command is coming from. You know, the European Union is such that there is a greater command and there's lesser command, and it all comes as this directive. And people feel like, okay, we don't have the power, it's just what's happening. But every single human that becomes aware of their own well-being to help with the revitalization, I hope I'm saying it right. Don't laugh at me, all you know, native English speakers or American speakers. But anyway, everyone that contributes to this process within our own being, we're actually contributing to what I call the raising of the planet through life force. So when I move through these areas, and sometimes they're also natural, a lot of the trees just dry up. I remember once in the mountains, I saw this whole large tree area. They were just gray. I've never seen that before. I'm like, wow, they just literally died here. And sometimes, you know, if it's natural, sometimes it will happen for a reason. These trees leave as a group. But what's happening now is, in so many cases, it's not natural. It's man-made. It's mechanical. It's based on business, on profit, on false agendas, covering up the real facts and truth. And if we don't become conscious of it, we just say, well, I'm bothered by this. It's not the same when you're bothered by it because it no longer looks pretty. You had your beautiful space. Now it doesn't look that pretty. I'm going to go somewhere else. Yeah, it's one of the factors, but it's not really what the true initiative of love, of life force moving through you does when you're truly aware of the whole challenge here. So whenever I walk through these areas, Spirit tells me, not enough life force, not enough life force. And, you know, being in fear, you won't help the process along. So those of us who are especially volunteer souls who have a strong capacity for anchoring this energy, like a cosmic antenna as we are, that can just move into, be channeled into those spaces of that distortion or depletion in energy that's expressed in nature. We're actually having those callings. And as you know, most of my mission takes place behind the scenes. When I'm outdoors as a creation pillar, that's what I do. And I'm constantly being drawn to these places, and sometimes like, why am I here today when they're doing this? Or, you know, it's always like, you know why? And I'm like, but I don't want to be. I want to be not witnessing all of this. It's harsh. When you're so tuned into life, you're not desensitized, but you're so highly, you know, compassionate. You feel everything because you have become a vessel. You can feel, and that's a gift. It's not always going to be easy because you will definitely feel everything, the good versus the bad. But what they're sharing with me is that the whole body regeneration is really a state where you're aligned with every elemental structure, with the environment, and not just the etheric blueprint, but also the physical representation and the distortions, and it's just all of it. Because in the state of illumination, it's not like, okay, I'm going to close my eyes, I don't want to see this, I don't want to witness that. That's not illumination, that's ignorance. So I can call myself awake and I can be still in states of avoidance. But our love is so necessary now, and this is what they're sharing with me, because I've witnessed in the past few weeks when I was walking here so much of that depletion. And it was a hard work to keep neutral and to know that I'm not attached to this, what's being a result of all that greed. And, you know, I've been observing so many different things. You know, I've even observed male baldness. I'm sorry to say that, but I couldn't believe that lately, whoever I see that's a man, almost more than half of the men are bald. They're shaved because they lost either all of their hair or half of their hair, or, you know, and it's somehow connected. They're showing me these phenomena are connected because the depletion we're doing on the planet creates a depletion of that revitalization in our bodies. Because, you know, hair looks also like a sperm, right? It has like this little pinnacle, what's it called, the root, and then it goes out, like becomes a hair. And it also needs a certain life force insemination to fuel it. And it's strong energy, how to say this, like strong energetic changes, which are a part of this cosmic cycles that are occurring now. And this is also how I lost some of my hair here in the back. And they just started to renew themselves very slowly because so much life force went into this process of this cosmic new cycle channeling. But they're showing me these things are all related, especially with the sensitive ones, and how so many people, not just men, also women, are going bald. Because this is an expression. It's what we're writing that into our DNA. But what we're doing instead, we're saying we're using our DNA like a code as an excuse. We're saying, oh, I'm bald because it's DNA or it's genetic. We're using the word genetic instead of DNA program and written in as an excuse. And we don't wish to look at how all these phenomena are connected, how we're actually becoming more and more robotic. I witness people here in nature. They come, especially this is a touristic place, they come at specific points, holidays. They're just, this is a nice place. They walk on further. They don't even stay with the energy a while. All they care about is they'll have fun. They eat their sandwiches. They bring kids there to have a little peace, and that's it. And for the majority of the people, that's where the experience ends, and it's just physical. But when I move into a place as a pillar, I can feel the etheric nature, the design behind everything, every facet of life, and I can feel it. Oh, this place has such a strong life force, which, as you know, the waterfalls have the strongest of these forces, creation forces, and strongest prana content. You can just come there and be instantly charged. But then what will you do with it? Are you doing it for selfish reasons? Are you doing it to feel better? Are you doing it to elevate your state of consciousness, to assist life? To pass that on. What nature gives you, you're passing it on. And this is what true whole body regeneration and revitalization is about, what the Elohim want to share today. So this was one aspect, and this is what I really wanted to share strongly. Now I want to mention, for those of you who did not watch that video, maybe some of you did, about these negative pranic foods, the neutral pranic foods and positive pranic foods, because I think that's important. As you know, I'm a vegan myself. I don't use it as a label. I just eat very intuitively. I have periods when I don't eat that much, and I have periods when I think I need to eat a lot because certain energies want to be integrated, and I'm like super active or hyperactive, and I like to eat more. And the thing is, there is no prescription from the outside how and what we should eat. So in the yogic tradition, the negative pranic foods, which caused the sensitized qualities within us, so we're becoming insensitive to life. Besides the nervous stimulants and intoxicants, which we all know what they are, big pharma, drugs, pharmaceuticals, alcohol. I love when Sadhguru said, you know, America is so influential. Before, no one in India drank alcohol. Now everyone does it because it's coming, the influence is coming from the United States. And it's so interesting how the ethers travel, right? The messages, even if it's another continent. Now everything is so connected. Something is being done here and it influences the cultures there. It's so enmeshed together. So besides that, the negative pranic foods are garlic, onion, I don't know how to pronounce this at all. Asafoetida, it's some Indian thing we don't have. Green chilies, chili peppers, hot peppers, coffee, and tea. So people always go, what? Garlic, onions? I've never eaten them. I've never liked them. If they're somehow by mistake within the food you buy, I'm like, oh, gross. All my life, I've hated it. And the thing is, what the true masters who have this knowledge explain is garlic and onions, that's here for us for medicinal purposes. It's medical plants. And it's one thing to eat it daily, on a daily basis, is another to eat it on your, you know, to eat it as a medicine, to take it in as a medicine. And that's why I've never wanted it, you know, out of these things that are of similar properties, but not as strong. I only take daily dosages of ginger. I love ginger because it's softer. I just feel it's a different kind of energetic structure of it. So spicy things, right? Chili peppers, I never like that as well. I hate spicy food. Coffee and tea. So tea means leaf, right? The tea as a plant, the tea plant, not the herbs or things like that. One thing that was shared here is the same thing. Is one thing to do it almost like in a ritual when you do it by choice, or when you do it because you need it every day. And I still see a lot of people who don't want to give up their coffee. Giving it up means you're already addicted because you're trying to, or not trying to give it up. It means just let go. Let go the daily need to have it, to have any of these strong things. Because, like you said, these are strong nervous system stimulants, and they will distort our nervous system and how it's like preoccupied, and it can't be open to greater phenomena of life. The neutral pranic foods are potatoes and tomatoes. It's just 2 examples. And the positive pranic foods are, what's that? Asgurd, winter melon. We also don't have that. Honey, because supposedly it has similar energy to our blood, like similar contents that are in our blood. It's very much similar with the coconut water. It has electrolyte proportion that's very equal to our blood and body fluids. So fruits, vegetables, nuts, dry fruits, and black pepper as well was mentioned. I really resonate with that because a lot of people will say, well, honey, no, because it's not vegan because bees make it and it's an animal product. And again, I wouldn't really fully agree. In a way, it is true. But the thing is with honey is, again, are we using it in balanced proportion? Because a lot of people who have, let's say you have resources, right? And you can create bee installations or installments in your own place. You're actually providing the environment. You're actually creating a space for them. And what we do in many cases, we overly use something. And again, I would like to stress the importance of whatever you're bringing in your body. How are you then, with your conscious energy, contributing to the preservation of that whether it's a produce or whether it's something you find meaningful, resourceful for you. So I want to again stress this message of full body revitalization. It's becoming much more important for us, for our bodies, what we put in them. And as it was shared in one of the previous channelings, which was about as well the body, how to maintain, and the mineral aspect of our body. The mineral, what is it called? You see, I'm so in the moment, I forget what it is. The body elemental, yes. And the mineral basis of everything, when it gets depleted, whatever you're eating, is just, you know, like a lot of fruits nowadays. It's just water inside and a whole bunch of pesticides. And so much of the things we're actually using have lost their ability to either, you know, reproduce, or to, like, let's say everything was, if you speed up the process of a certain plant, you say, well, you need to grow faster, you know. It's like it can't develop the proper nutrients. So now with the speeding up, with these chemicals you're adding, so everything grows faster, you're actually using this as a sped up, it's like this process that's being sped up actually misses out on stages of the developmental nature that need to occur within a certain structure. Let's say it's a plant, right? So there's so many factors we're missing out on, and we say, oh, that's my wellness. But how is our wellness interconnected with the web of all life? So that's the message I wanted to share with me today. But there's another surprise I have for you, which is I want to do, or I'm guided to do, a channeled light activation for the energetic part of our body replenishment and regeneration. So after this very challenging year for many of us, there was a strong winter. And as you know, in the previous channeling, they've shared why, and why there was so much water as new precipitation coming on our planet. And now this channeled activation is meant to take us to just this new level of being open to a greater life force mastery, to no longer use excuses for how we treat ourselves, others, and the planet, to release the habits that so many people are still clinging on, and they're not seeing them as related to their ascension, but they truly are, because everything is a part of ascension, physicality. There is no exclusions, you know, excuses. So anyway, I want us to move into this, if you are guided to gather into this shared sacred space of this light activation and attunement, to really invite this new state in. So, come on, let's go.
Welcome into my world, the world of the elven song, magical